Well, welcome, and I am your host, and my name is Britton. Today, I just wanted to get on here before we start our conversation and let you know that I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I speak to people that are in those professions, and this channel is for information only. Hopefully, it's good information that you can apply to your life. So, as I speak to those guests, and if you feel like you want to support any of those, some of them are authors, blogs, mental health advocates. They have foundations, not for profits. If you want to support those people, I'll put the links in the description below. Also, if you'd like to support the Suicide Monk podcast and help keep this moving forward, I'll put that GoFundMe in the link below. I'll put the link down there for the Ashes to Life coaching as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us keep moving forward. And any prayers, lifting up, good vibes, we will take them. Thanks a lot. Again, we'll see you on the good side. Well, welcome to the Suicide Monk, and I am your host, and my name is Britton. Today we have Benjamin Nevares. Is that how I pronounce that correctly?
Exactly.
Yeah, you used to be part of, maybe still are, I don't know, Team USA and weightlifter, and also a recovering addict and podcast host. Used to do construction. We have that in common. I'm a carpenter
Nice.
myself. Yeah. Yeah. So you reached out because you have some addiction things that you wanted to talk about and spread the word. And you've been on this recovery path for a while, I'm assuming. And did addiction hit you while you were an athlete?
I think that's a wonderful question. And I think it started prior to that. I think, my brain is designed in a way that leads me to be an addict. And then I found some items in high school that were ultimately what started my pursuits, but then it escalated kind of during my time as an athlete, but also immediately after retiring in 2017. I went to Worlds, I retired from powerlifting, and I had a loss of identity pretty significantly.
Yeah.
And so, I got 2 surgeries in high school, and I got prescribed, hydrocodone, and I used them exactly like it said, 2 pills every 4 hours. And I didn't want to have necessarily the come down. And so I was like, well, I don't want to be in pain. So let me do every 3.5 hours. And then all of a sudden I'm doing, what's, once every 3 hours, like what's the big deal? And then I remember telling my mom was like, okay, make sure you still have, like, do you have any left? Or, just checking in, like, what my use was for after my first surgery. And she was like, so your pills? And I was like, yeah, I'm done. She's like, done? We have, my dad has hydrocodone that's been sitting in the medicine cabinet for decades. What do you mean you're done? It's like,
Right.
well, I took it like it said, that's I think where it originally started.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair, man. That's the tough thing, especially when you find a Band-Aid, you're like, and then you're pushing your body like you are. You're like, oh, that's, yeah.
It felt good, man.
There's something there. What made you decide to go into like, I don't know how that works with being part of a Team USA. I'm assuming you have to compete to get there, and that takes an elite level of competition and discipline to do that. How did you manage to keep going through that? How did it not take those things away from you?
That's odd because I figured that initially I could do both to some degree, which seems like that doesn't make sense. Like, you can't compete at such a high level and also, be engaged in anything drug related or drinking related. But I think that I was gifted enough, or I worked hard enough, that I was still, ranking pretty, top in the world. And so because I saw that, I was like, well, I can just go ahead and manage both of these things. And now that I'm looking back, it's like, well, I didn't really make the most out of really my opportunity here. I could
Right.
have been so much better as an athlete, and as a student, as a human. And I decided that I would take this other road because I felt like I could skate by enough to, accomplish what I wanted
Mm.
to by competing for Team USA, but at the same time, still, it was any pills, any drug that I can get my hand on, drinking every night. I think that a lot of athletes are ultimately, especially at that level, extremists, right? We like to do things to the nth degree, and my nth degree didn't stop just at the platform. It was when I got home, and everything around having a good time is what I thought I was doing.
Hmm. You had mentioned something that's actually pretty profound, and that is when you retired, you lost everything. You lost your coaches, your camaraderie, your teammates, your accountability, your mentorship, all that stuff. How did that affect you? We see this with well, a lot of athletes in general, period. And then not first responders as much, but just especially with athletes, they lose that core group. How did that affect you? And you had some pill use and alcohol in there, but you also mentioned meth.
It was, yeah. So I was on meth for a while, for years, and so it was. Sorry, can you repeat the question one more time for me?
Yeah, just after retiring and that the loss of those teammates and camaraderie and that mentorship and accountability. Where did that take you? What was that kind of that
Yeah.
response system to losing that?
I tried to make it work with finding other avenues after I retired. It was one of the hardest things that's ever happened to me, without a
Yeah.
doubt. I left the sport, and for so long, everyone just knew me as the power lifter. Like, my parents would introduce me to other family members, like, this has been the power lifter. And that was pretty much all that I was.
Your identity.
And
Yeah.
that was really hard because internally I was like, well, that's not leading up to that point of retirement. I already knew, like, that's not all that I am. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be Ben, not Ben the power lifter. I wanted to be Ben. And so when I lost a consistent schedule with friends, with sometimes a rocky time, everybody again is like this very alpha mentality in
Hmm.
that room. We had, at the time I was lifting at Texas A&M, we had 8 total Team USA athletes, and so we had a lot of high performing individuals in that room. And so everyone's kind of, intense, and so at times it's great and at times it's hard, but at the end of the day, we came together and we would have dinner together and it was a guaranteed community that was kind of just almost like fizzled out. It wasn't necessarily like it was ripped from me. It was like, it was the decision to say, I think that let's go ahead and let's start our career, and like, making really, I wanted to make money. And so let me leave the sport because I feel like I'm giving a lot of time to this and I'm not able to be a high performer elsewhere.
Hmm.
And so I tried to move into construction. Initially, I was doing door to door sales, and it just, nothing was the same. The level of care wasn't the same around me. Where you're competing with all these individuals, everything matters. Diet matters. People are concerned with, going out to go party on a night like before a training day. It was um a different mentality where people just were accepting of mediocrity,
Hmm.
and I couldn't really
Wow.
understand that. And so I I think I just leaned into what everybody else was doing. It was like, we're drinking before work, we're drinking at lunch, we're having a good time. And again, like, ultimately, I still wanted community, I still wanted friends, and that's kind of what that group was doing. And so I was like, well, yeah, like, of course. um and so I continued to, quote unquote, I keep on saying this out loud, have a good time, but in the moment, yeah, it is. And like, even it would be ridiculous for me to like say, hey Ben, this wasn't fun, because to some degree it was, right? I can't lie
Yeah.
to myself. I loved drinking. It was a
Yeah.
great time. The drugs were a little bit more iffy. I remember like Xanax was something that I abused for a while, and I would take Xanax, I'd crush them up, put them inside, a shot glass, put some vodka in there, and take a shot, and then like that was the start of the evening, and it would just start from, and it was just nonstop all day. I remember going to classrooms in undergrad, knowing that I've been to this class before, and I cannot remember where it is, and it's now three-fourths of the way through the semester. I've taken exams in that room, I've been to lectures in this room, and I still cannot remember where I'm going.
Wow.
It was nonstop. I mean, it was craziness, and I risked my life. I mean, abuse of tramadol as well, where I ended up having to go to the hospital, for using too much tramadol, where I was like, just one more is fine. And then I remember being in the restroom, like, okay, I can't stand, I can't really urinate, I'm starting to black out. I'm having depressed breathing. So I think, these are the side effects, or these are the physiological symptoms of an OD.
Hmm.
And so how do I manage this? I need to go to the hospital like now. Um, and then it ended up leading towards Adderall, and then the meth. And so I thought I had a friend, this gentleman who had lost his mother from brain cancer just earlier. He was another college student, and he had Adderall. I was like, "You have Adderall?" I was like, "Yeah, I have Adderall." I was like, "Well, I can get it prescribed, right? Like I can get this, but I'm going to buy it from you because I know like you're having a hard time." And so we started working out together. I'm a personal trainer at the time, and so I started giving him free personal training sessions in exchange for Adderall, and just to make sure he had some sort of community. And then I found out years later, where I was like constant, paranoia, auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations. I found out, he's like, actually, Ben, we package our own meth. We have a pill press, and we color it so it looks exactly like Adderall. But you've been taking meth for the last several years. I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh, bro.
damn, like that's my fault for trusting,
A
people
drug
on the
dealer.
street. That's my fault. Yeah, that's my fault. I can't even get mad.
I know. It's like,
Like that's a drug dealer for you, man.
yeah,
That's the
it's,
game.
yeah. And that's the risk. And everybody knows it going on the street is you don't know what you're getting. You just don't. And you're chasing the high more than you're chasing the safety of, the risk is worth the reward per se.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I thought I was like, oh, at the time I also had, moved away um from door-to-door sales in the construction game, and started to be more in the world of like new build construction.
Hmm.
Um I sometimes love my carpenters. I sometimes didn't love my carpenters. It was
Yeah.
a fun time. But I at that point I was making a lot of money. I was selling a lot of homes. I was building homes. Started managing projects, and again, it was kind of like in the world of powerlifting for me, where even though I was doing all this stuff on the side that ultimately impedes who I am, I was still able to be more successful than the people around me, where I was under budget. I was more on time than everybody else. Like I was on time, 24 weeks, I'm on time. And I was managing more projects than anybody else, and I had the least experience. And
Hmm.
so there wasn't enough oomph to say, Ben, don't do this.
Right.
It was like, hey man, you could still do all these things, have a good time, and still make a shit ton of money and be better than everybody else around you. Sounds like a pretty good exchange. I'm just having a good time. Uh, and that wasn't the reality.
Right. Right. So how did that catch up with you?
Oh man. So the last day, the final, after seeing so many baggies and like throwing them away in the toilet. I'm never going to do this again. I hate this. This is terrible. To buying the next baggie and then finding some in your car. We were like, I'll just take the pill. Why not? Right. Um, I remember I had just bought the new home. I'm laying down. I'm alone. I have my dog and that's it. And I had been up for several days at this point. This is probably day 3 of just being up,
Yeah.
and I was still taking. I would like try to hash it out, like and kind of like my hydrocodone, like every 3 hours. Figured out that, and a full pill of that of the meth would last me about 4-ish hours of that really high, and then it would have a drop off. And so I would take halves every like 2 hours,
A
every
reboost.
hour, just making sure that I'm having a constant drip, man. And I
Jeez.
I hadn't eaten. I hadn't
Mm.
really drank any water. I didn't have any desire to, didn't care. And I was laying in bed and my heart, my Apple Watch rang and was like, "Hey, you're at 180 beats a minute and you're laying down."
Oh.
This is a warning, right? It starts ringing and I didn't know what to do. I was so scared. I mean, I was so scared. And I man, it's gonna make me cry. Um, I wanted to drink water. I was panicking, like, do I just get in the shower? Do I walk around? What do I do? And I called my significant other and she was like, "Hey, you just need to eat something. It's gonna be okay." Like trying to walk me through it. And I was like, I really don't know that I'm gonna make it. I think this is I think this is it. Sorry, whenever I get anxious, I get nauseous.
No, you're
And
good.
um yeah, it's a hard memory. So uh I'm panicking and it's like, man, I have all these dreams, I have all these aspirations. I've done a lot. I'm a published researcher. I competed for Team USA. I'm making a lot of money. I bought my own house before I'm 30 years old. And I'm going to throw it all away because I want to get high.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to die here in this house alone, accomplishing none of what I truly could have. I
Right.
wasn't the best powerlifter I could have been. I probably could have been even better of an employee and a a home builder, project manager, a better partner to my partner. And I tried to eat some food, couldn't get anything down. I walked outside on just a whim. I just needed to do something, and this massive rush of cold air hits me and immediately drops my heart rate.
Hmm.
And then my anxiety goes away, and I'm just standing in the backyard, back to fine. And it's like, if there's a God, if there's someone trying to tell you something, if it's just the universe and luck, whatever it is, it's giving me another shot. And this is my call. This is it. You will die.
Hmm.
So stop. And that was my last day using any drugs. Alcohol didn't stop, but the use of designer or most drugs, quote unquote, what we consider drugs, had ended at that point.
Hmm.
And I took a break from everything for what I thought was a while, which in reality is like a month, right? And
Right.
then I'm like, all right, that was it. I got the call. No more of that stuff. And then I started to drink a lot, every day, daily. And it was also in the real estate world, in the construction world, drinking's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen so many people drink.
Go to the restaurant. Work in a restaurant.
Oh,
It's
good point.
bad. It's
Good point.
bad.
That's yeah. I spent a lot of time in restaurants to the point where it was
Yeah,
like it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm
yeah,
drinking with the staff and I'm,
yeah,
mopping the floors and
yeah.
I'm cleaning and everybody's drunk off their asses.
Carpentry is just after the job. It's just like, gosh, I just need my body hurts so bad, and just need to relieve some of that pain and relax. And carpentry's a hard job, man. It's
A
it'll
very hard
tear you
job.
up. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a different drinking game. The restaurant is very very it's high stress and it's high speed, and most people they're young, so they're drinking a lot, and if you're older, you're drinking with them. So it's like, wow,
That's
yeah,
that's a tough life.
it is a tough life. It's
A lot
really
of
tough.
hangovers. A
It
lot of
is,
hangovers.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, so I started drinking a lot, and I told myself at that point, like my partner lived in Vegas, and so it's like I gotta make the commitment to move out to Vegas and make the relationship real because it's been years of like, well, I'm working here, you're working there, like we'll visit each other and whatever. Um, Long distance in itself, I think, didn't necessarily help my
right,
situation, and I should have known that boundary for myself and either made the decision to move or cut ties at that moment, and understanding how boundaries affect my life and my predispositions to doing certain things. And so I didn't set myself up for success, and so I ended up moving to Vegas and was good for a while, stayed clean, still no drugs, every once in a while drinking. I mean, I got into the craft cocktail game, and so
mm, yep,
I'm not drinking, I'm enjoying a cocktail. Like, you don't get it. I'm having a rum old fashioned with boom boo rum with black walnut bitters. Like, you don't get it. Like, this is
right,
good stuff.
yeah,
Or this is an aviation. If you really taste the flavors, there's a true balance between the citrus and the sweetness and like the violet.
yep.
I got really into it, and so it wasn't really, I didn't feel like I was getting drunk as much as appreciating alcohol. And then it just got to the point where I was just those
Over
I forgot,
appreciating.
over appreciating. Exactly. I was having a lot of anything that I could get. There's these 2 for 5s at the gas station that so relatively cheap, about 12-13% alcohol. And there's like, I forgot, the Cutwater is the name of the
Oh
brand.
yeah,
Love some cut. I mean, they do a really good job, and those guys are potent. And so I'd come home with 4 of those pretty much every night. I could walk to the gas station or the little grocery store right here. I drink 4 of those guys, and then sometimes that still wasn't enough, and so whatever's in the fridge or whatever's on the counter, and then it ended up really hurting my relationship, like a lot, a lot, a lot, a
mm,
lot.
yeah,
And I hurt a lot of people along the way, and so last year, finally, I think about April-ish or something like that, for about 8 months last year, I was clean. I was like, I got to make this commitment to myself, and I'm not liking how I look. For one, I'm gaining a lot of weight
right.
constantly. So I mean, at the very least, if I'm going to be vain, like that's a really good way to quit.
It's a
Uh,
good motivator.
Good motivator. And I went to AA a couple times throughout the years, but I went last year, and I just didn't feel like it was my community for whatever reason. I just never felt like I fit in, and I wanted to. Like, this is the thing you're supposed to do, right? Like, if you want to get sober, this is the thing you do. But I just never felt like it was the place for me. So I just made a commitment, and I went to one meeting. I got the book, and then I never went to that meeting again. And for some people, I think for most people that doesn't necessarily work. So not the best advice, but I don't go to AA, and I practice my sobriety alone. And what's interesting to me, and I'm still in therapy to this day. And I just had a meeting with my therapist last week, and we were talking about being sober, and I was like, well, I'm sober unless I travel. And she's like, well, is that sobriety? And I was like, well, I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe not. But I'm going to Hong Kong and Singapore in March, and so I'm telling myself I can drink during those times as long as I can drink 1 or 2 beverages, and if I come back to the States and it continues, then I'm no longer to drink when I travel. And so right now, it's only been one time that I've traveled out, and it worked. It's worked for me. I still get to, have an appreciation, and it really is, I think, at that point more of an like I'm grateful for the opportunity to have a beverage, not go overboard, have some discipline for myself, and still come home. Whenever I'm home, there's no alcohol in the house. I drink alcohol-free beverages all the time, and so it's not technically, I guess, sober entirely, um, but it's sober adjacent, if you will.
Sure, sure. So I started doing something myself. I stopped drinking at home because I mean, just I, I'm always trying to shut the monkeys up.
Yeah, that's my reason as well.
Yeah, and what I found, um, I'm diabetic, so it affects my body quite a bit, and I just haven't felt good. I haven't been feeling good, and I'll drink. I never get the opportunity to get super drunk. Like my body will not let me. Diabetes, I get nauseous. My body throws up before I get blacked out. So, and I never really get to fully shut the monkeys up. I just get to calm them down. And then I started doing some things, exercise, meditation, prayer, reading, started instituting things into my life because I'm down this road of, I was on this road of suicide. Now I'm on the other side of this and I need to shed some things. So I instituted these things in my life because I want to approach my life differently now because I have the ability to rewrite that. What's the worst thing I'm doing right now? And, I'm thinking about it, and there's a few things on the table, and alcohol is one of them. I'm like, well, alcohol is probably the biggest catalyst for me not feeling good. So I said, I just was like, and I think I'm a functional alcoholic. I have a few drinks in the evening, and I'm good. But I do that every day, and I stay buzzed every day. So it was just like I just won't drink at home, and that's been fantastic. Like I don't drink at home, but I don't go out very often either. So I
It's
don't give
good.
myself opportunity. And it's like, and I feel better. I feel more motivated. My mind's clear. I feel like creatively I'm better, more motivated. Uh, Even cognitively, I'm more motivated. So it's interesting that's I understand. I understand the process, and I don't want to have to give it all up. I will, just like you, but I don't want to have to. And I believe we have the power within ourselves to, now, again, if I'm addicted to something, I have the power within myself to not do that. I know that because I spent 17 years in AA and barely took an Advil for 17 years. And so I know I have the strength within me. The chemical imbalance of alcohol can be the draw. And that's the downfall. We see this often. I see it. I've seen it in friends. They take one sip. See it in my mom. One sip, and it's like their whole demeanor and presence changes. Period. And then it just as a snowball effect of perpetual just nightmare. And so, where were you at with that kind of drinking? I mean, has it taken anything from you? Has it destroyed anything for you?
It destroyed many relationships, and then my self worth, I would say, are probably the things. Not really realizing it in the moment. Again, I was just like, I'm just drinking, um, but my self worth was. I didn't have necessarily the best self worth kind of promoting experience as a child. But it definitely didn't help that I was trying to constantly make commitments to myself that I wasn't following through with. I would tell
Mm-hmm.
myself constantly, I'm not going to do drugs, I'm not going to drink anymore. And then I would go back and then go back. And then so I'm like questioning internally, like, what do I really want? Can I really do this on my own? Um, and it got, it got really kind of tough with, the big downward swings of depression. And I I mean, embarrassing stories where I would just I'd be at a girl's house and then like leave because I was just so, you know, sad that I was even there, and then like I'll just walk home. I'll just do this to myself because this is what I deserve, and then I am in the middle of that. Like, what am I doing to myself? Like, do I hate myself this much? Like, why? Why are you
Right.
hurting yourself? So like, you don't need to be doing any of this. Um, and so I struggled a lot with a lot of suicidal thoughts during those times, especially during those low lows. Because I think with drinking and with just my personality, I have high highs and low lows. Um, and then in business, it's the same idea. When you have high highs, they're good. Like you make a sale, you're like, oh my god, this is awesome, right? It's usually you're getting paid well, and then but when you don't, you're expecting to or like hoping to, and then so you have this build up and you have this significant drop. So even after I stopped drinking, it was still a struggle with these pretty significant suicidal thoughts, um where I was like, man, business is just so hard. I can't really get a job anywhere else. I have a master's degree. Like, what's the point of any of this? Like,
Right.
if I can't, I'm trying to be sober and do well, and it's not working. And then I was drinking and trying to do well, and that wasn't really working. So, like, what's the point of any of this? Like, why work so hard? What's the point of all this time, all this money that I've spent on my education, on trying to better myself and going to therapy? And it's like, is it a waste?
Hmm.
I mean, I surely hope not, but it kind of definitely feels like it.
Yeah.
It was hard. I mean, still even to this day, but I think it's a different, um because there's no alcohol and I don't have those massive swings. um I'm definitely more consistent now that I'm sober, or my definition of being sober, than I ever have been before, and I
Hmm.
really really appreciate that about being sober. I'm clear. I definitely have monkeys. I mean, it's definitely, there's still a lot that goes inside of my head, and I've just learned how to organize those thoughts a little bit better, and just making sure that I have a care package, if you will, kind of set up. So if I am having those like those anxiety moments or having those lows, it's like, hey, have I worked out 3 or 4 times this week? Have you even worked out once this week? And no, well, you probably should go move your body. Yeah, you love going to the movies. Go to the movies. Go sit down, get some popcorn. Doesn't matter what movie it is, just go to the movies. Um, getting massage. So I have these things that I do to order, just make sure that I'm good. But now it's more because of the things that I've taken on that are almost like still the addict in me, where um, I just want to do as much as I possibly can. And so part of me doing as much as I possibly can, is, I'm now owning 4 different businesses, and owning one is hard enough.
Yeah.
And now we have, 3 on top of that, and having a team, and how do you manage everybody else around you? How do you communicate effectively? And um do you worry about people's emotions, or should you just say things directly? Like, there's a lot of like learning, that I thought was so easy as an employee, that I'm like, oh man, I really know how to handle this. And so when sales don't come through, or when business isn't going nearly as well, those suicidal thoughts are strong. And
Hmm.
so yeah,
So it's fear of failure.
I think that's
Sounds
pretty.
like.
Yeah, I think that could be pretty accurate. Even though I talk about this in therapy. Like, I've been successful, and so history would say that I will continue to be successful, and then telling myself, no, I am successful. It's just this, it's just not happening at this pace that I want it, or I want it
Right.
as big as I want it, and so kind of putting that into perspective. But ultimately, like, what if it doesn't work out? Then I've already tried to, I've applied when I moved here to Las Vegas. I applied to a couple hundred jobs, and I never heard anything back from anybody.
I know.
And that's daunting, man.
Yeah.
Daunting. And then, like, so do I go back and do that? And then try to do, I mean, I couldn't get hired at Walmart. I have a master's degree. I couldn't get hired as a checker or a bagger.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
I
I know,
mean,
man. Been there.
so frustrating,
Yeah.
man.
Couldn't get a
So
$10 an hour job.
exactly. And I
I'm
will
like,
work that job.
right.
I
I'm
will
like,
show up.
what
I
the
don't
heck?
call in. I hear these stories where people are calling in and like, or they're just
Yeah,
not showing up. They get
yeah.
hired and they just don't show up because they just wanted to get their unemployment and
Well,
they're walking away. And I'm like,
yeah,
I will actually work for you
yeah.
if you hired me, you know?
Well, and some of these guys, like I just worked at a place and they just don't show up. And if they don't want to, and then a few days later, they'll show up and they're still working. And it's like, well, we can't get any more help. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I'll do twice the work then. That's just an inconvenience and a problem to accept that just over and over and over. Like you're letting the employee control the whole nature of the company. That's not good.
That's not good at all. That's
No,
really not good. And
no,
I'm sure that there's like, I don't know, in Nevada, I forgot the term, but you can fire based on need pretty much. So I don't
okay,
need necessarily an excuse. I know that not every state is like that.
right, yeah,
Where there are more, there's a process. You have to give 3 write-ups, then you have to have meetings, and then you have to finally. And it's like, man, this person didn't show up, twice now. Do I really need to write them up again? Like,
right,
or they didn't
yeah,
call in, or they didn't notify me, and they're still here? Like, what?
yeah.
This is the process that we're gonna allow? This is crazy.
Well, and I think this directly is in correlation with our mental health. Like nobody wants to do the work. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to put the effort into healing. They just want to take a pill, and that's the danger of that is that you're really just covering up something that you're not really going to deal with. It's just going to sit there and fester for the rest of your life, and then you have mental health issues, and then you have physical health issues, and you don't know why, and you can't figure out your purpose. You can't figure out what to do. And that's like, well, you've been drugged up for 10 years. What? No shit. No wonder. It's you gotta put work into um, solving your mental health, and I mean solving it, not just band-aiding it, not just trying to fix it, but solving it. And I believe now. The only reason I believe this is because of where I'm at. I came from, 8 months ago, going to go take my life to now. I understand why people want to live and have purpose and goals and dreams and things I've never had before because I went and faced myself. I went in the cave like little Luke Skywalker and saw my own face and cut my own head off and that's that kind of that hero's journey of transcending the old and rebuilding something or building something new. So um, one of the things you had mentioned was boundaries. One of the, I've thought about that. I've thought about I put boundaries in my life to protect myself per se. And as I'm going through this process this last several months, and I'm taking all that information that I learned a long time ago from 18 to now when I started this journey for the trying to live and trying to get away from the suicide ideology. I'm going through this process. I'm working out how to basically balance my life. And what I realized, what I was calling boundaries, is actually respecting myself. And oftentimes, when I see people put boundaries up, they'll go from one extreme to the other. Like, I'm helping you out. You screwed me. I'm not helping anybody out. And instead, it's those boundaries. If you respect yourself, it's you don't compromise those things. It's not just an extreme. So I know this is a long question, but how have you set those boundaries in place? Are those extreme uh, switches? Because a lot of times we see with addiction, there will be a big flip in those kinds of things like boundaries because I can't go do that for myself because it puts me in a position, etc. How have you managed to navigate those things and put those in place for yourself?
I think that respecting yourself is probably the best way to probably ultimately say that. And I think it's subjective, and I feel like boundaries are ultimately just a recognition of if this then that. And so if I'm going to go to an event, then if anything, it's an internal question. Then can I
Hmm.
manage my can I manage myself?
Right.
Whatever your vice is, can you manage yourself? If it's a no, then be honest with yourself, and that's your boundary.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Right.
Doesn't matter what everybody else thinks.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if XY person's going to be there. That is your thing, because you realize what that leads down.
Yep.
And so I know if I message this one individual, it's going to ultimately lead to this. Even if it's just a comment on a post or whatever it is, I'm just not going to do it. Or for some reason, like for some things, it can be as minor as like, man, I just don't want to see this person on my page because they make me angry. And that feeling of anger is like, how is this serving me?
Right.
Why am I following this person?
Yep.
Like, that's for me a boundary, because I got to conserve this energy that I'm going to walk away from. I'm going to look at this person's post, and then I'm going to get so upset. And then I'm going to walk away. I'm going to go talk to a client. I'm going to go talk to my spouse, my significant other. And then now I'm going to take that energy with me. And then now I'm rude to my own relationship because I'm mad about something else that I've selected to follow. That's
Hmm.
insanity. That
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
So those things, maybe you are good at, following somebody you don't like, and it just is what it is, and you can move on. I don't really understand that very much, but like, let's say that's you, then great, that's you, man. Not everybody's like that. And so I think, really, when you said earlier, like, really solving those things is ultimately like finding out what those triggers are, how it works for you. And it's so nuanced. Like, I know if I am in a bad mood, I'm going to retract. I'm going to I'm going to have this sense of like solitude. I'm going to sit on the couch. I'm going to sulk. And then that sulking will lead to catastrophizing. That catastrophizing leads to those suicidal ideations. And then if I let it go on long enough, then we're going to start planning. And so how do we fix that? Well, let's walk it all the way back, and we look at the thing that caused it, whatever that trigger was for me in that moment. And then I decide, do I want to expose myself to that because I know it's going to lead to this? Or do I want to go ahead and elect or create a life that allows me to avoid those opportunities because I know that they don't serve me? And I know, like, I say avoid, and I'm like, oh, well, that's probably not the best word. Um, Keep myself safe from, to create that boundary for myself,
Hmm.
to have some respect for myself, so that I just don't expose myself to that situation, because I know where it leads. Like, I
Yeah.
can look internally well enough that I know where this leads. So why am I going to do that to myself?
Yep. Yep. One of the see, I would say that I, I would have put you in a different category than me um, prior to recently, because you've grown up with discipline and um, oh gosh, so many different things that I don't have. Just fortitude and strength and confidence, and that stuff comes from doing what you were doing. The So you have an idea of what it means to believe in yourself, have mental strength, know you can do something, and then you get caught in the drugs, the alcohol. And the reason I'm saying it this way is because I want people to understand that everybody's susceptible to it, and nobody's free from that because they have this. But what you do have, um, and I think what happens is, and that's why I say I would have put you in a different category, because you have these things that you've done that I was torn down from a very young age. So I never acquired those things till, later in life. And even recently, for the most part. How how has that served you or hindered you in this process that you're going through? And hinder, I mean by, oh, I've got like an overabundance of confidence in maybe a situation that you maybe got caught in. It was like, oh, I thought I could do that. It's not. I'm not trying to like degrade you of any confidence or anything like that, or try to say that you have a huge ego, but we do. We're like, oh, we can do this, and then it just like knocks us off our horse. So
Great question.
how are these disciplines that you grew up with served you to becoming what you have become now?
I think that even though I I trained these things of discipline and strength and physical strength, which is fun. It hits on multiple levels, so it's just funny to me. It's though existed maybe really strongly early on in my career, it's it was gone at a certain point, and I had none. I had no discipline whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really sad because I remember, I used to abuse LSD as well, and I would just take tabs. I remember taking a couple tabs, tripping out, and then kind of another identity crisis where I didn't even know what colors I liked.
Hmm.
And this was in the moment of me like competing in powerlifting, and so I was like, I didn't know what flavors I liked. I didn't know who I was anymore. I lost everything about who I was, and I think at that moment or during those times is definitely where I completely lost all sense of discipline. And then it wasn't until later on, like I was still competing, and I was still doing well. I had this like idea that like I can as long as I continue to just show up, like it's gonna work out, right? I still like powerlifting. I don't even know that I like it, but I'm good at it, and I like being good at things, and so I'm gonna continue to do this. Um, and then now today, I think that my perspective of my discipline is probably still not very high. And I think from the outside looking in, you're like, come on, man, like you're doing a lot. Yeah, but um, I don't perceive it to be any better than anybody else's. And I believe it's better than it was. And so to some degree, sure, it's better than other, sure. But I'm better than I was a year ago.
Hmm.
Just a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm a different person entirely. Just 1 year, I am a different human being. And that's cool. So I think I'm in the middle of developing
Hmm.
my sense of discipline again. This is like easy example. I was always on programs for powerlifting, always on a program. And so I was on a routine of every 12 weeks, I'd reset, right? Every 12 weeks or so, every 12 to 18 weeks, depending on the program. But either way, I am on week 7 of my first program in many years.
Hmm.
And I've tried multiple programs. I've looked for coaches. I was looking externally for that,
Yeah.
like
There
that,
you go.
that, that help. I tried to hire coaches multiple times, and I had to be like, people wouldn't show up. I would ask a coach, "Hey, can you coach me? Like, I'm gonna start. I want to compete for Team USA again. You're a reputable coach. We know each other. We've been on the podcast together. Like, you've trained other like Team USA athletes. Like, let's talk. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's schedule. Yeah, that sounds good. And then never show up. And then it happened for multiple sports, multiple times. And finally, I'm like, I've been waiting for other people to allow me to be successful.
Yes.
I've been waiting years,
Yeah.
waiting for people to be like, yeah, Ben, we can get you there, buddy. When it's inside of me,
Right. That's what I was talking about.
I can figure this out.
Yeah.
So why am I constantly looking out?
Yeah.
I it, it's been like that for years where I've been looking outside of myself. And I don't know if I'm lying to myself, but I think it's important to continue to learn from other people. And that was my
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
I was like, if I hire another really good coach, then I am able to learn. Maybe it's going to be a couple golden nuggets. Like there's going to be a couple things in there where I just didn't perceive something that way, where I just wouldn't have ever written it like that. Like it would have been an interesting thing that I could have gotten and taken away, and now I can write better programs.
Yeah.
But I have a damn good method, and I've seen it with multiple athletes. I've helped athletes get to the point where they're competing on the world stage. Like, these are my skills. This
Right.
is my master's degree. My master's degree is focused on training Olympic athletes. It's exercise physiology specifically for Olympians. So, like, why are we waiting? Sit down, write the program, and follow it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, I'm not feeling like doing that warm up today. Tough shit. You wrote it. Show up. You, at that moment when you were sitting down writing that thing, trust yourself enough that you wrote the right program for you and that's going to make you successful.
Man, you're touching on a lot of great things right there. Yeah,
So
keep going.
go for it. Yeah. So that's what I started doing, man. And it's been a wonderful time. Like, I'm on week 7 and I'm really, really proud of that. And there are some things that we do need help for. Like, I'm taking Mandarin lessons, and I take Mandarin lessons 3 times a week. I don't know Mandarin at all, but I think it'd be fun to learn. And so, but I do need somebody. I need somebody for that.
Right.
And so that person shows up for me. I'm going to show up for them.
Yep.
And it's even in business where I'll hire a business coach because I'm hoping that business coach is going to give me this ticket, this thing that I don't have. And then I do the business coach and I spend this amount of money, and I'm like, so what did we learn? Not much. I don't know.
Yep.
I spent a lot of money.
Yep.
And I don't know that there's a lot of return here, man. So, like, Ben, you're better off than you think you are, man.
Yep.
And you didn't realize it. And so learn to accept that and love that and appreciate it. And yes, there's room for growth. There's always room for growth. I'm in an MBA program. I'm going to, get my MBA because there's going to be nuggets in there that I don't know. And I'm going to be around people that are going to challenge me. And the challenge me they have. But there's more inside of me, more inside of all of us than I think we really understand.
There you go. That's it right there, my friend. That's you're touching on one of the most vital things for recovery, and that's nobody's going to do it for you, and nobody can do it for you. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. You have to get up. Can somebody lend you a hand? Absolutely. Should they have to carry you? Hell no. And that's what I learned. The same thing, and you explained it really well, is that nobody is going to do it for me. If I want to make money, I got to go do it. If I want to build this, I got to go do it. If I want to build me, I got to go do it. Can I accept help from the outside? Absolutely. And I will now. It's a whole different reciprocation with myself. It's now I'm responsible for everything I do. But if somebody wants to be involved in that, I'm more than happy to help, take that help because I actually need it. But I also know that I'm capable of doing it myself. I also know that it'll go in the direction that I'm pushing it because that's what I'm good at and that's where I'm led to do the things that I'm doing. So beautiful way of putting that, man. That's I think vital to understanding how powerful you are inside and how much strength we all have. And that's where I was like earlier when I was like, yeah, I'd put you on a different field, but we're rowing the same damn boat. So we've got there 2 different ways rowing the same boat. And that's what I find beautiful. And that's why I find anybody has this capability. And that was kind of where I wanted to lead this was we have it within ourselves to get ourselves out of the things that we're in. Yes, there's some severities there that definitely need a push and some catalyst and a little bit of light, fire to their rocket. But we people are so attuned to being the victim. I was absolutely for many, many years. And now I realize I'm the only one capable of helping me. But that also is directly related to my spirituality and my faith and how I treat that and how I treat myself. And again, it goes back to the respect. When I start respecting myself, I start realizing how intelligent I am. And when I start respecting myself, I start having ideas and creativity blooms and things I would have never came up with. And it's because I'm allowing life to enter in instead of trying to control it.
We all need help without
Yeah.
a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm not a graphic designer. Won't ever claim to be. Don't want to be. So I need somebody to help me with that.
Sure.
But I know that I can reach out to somebody. I can take that power and say, I can look at the project and say, I know that this needs this.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to wait for a graphic designer to just automatically understand that and just reach out to me because they
Right.
see that I have a business. They don't know at what point in time I need them. So
Yep.
I got to get up and I got to call. And that's how we get stuff done. And we have that. I
Yep.
waited so long for a part of my business
I
to
know, man.
just happen
Yeah.
because somebody told me, "Hey man, we can get you an 8-figure deal on licensing for this product."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh my god, that's awesome." Like I formulated it, I got it. I started doing product testing, like we got it. Here it is. It's like that sounds great, man. I was like, "Is that it?" Like what about that deal you were talking about? Yeah, we can I'll set that
Yep.
meeting up.
Yep.
Okay, like when? I'll set it up. Okay. 2 years later of me waiting because I didn't want to push too much. I wanted to like handle it
Sure.
eloquently,
Yep.
whatever that fucking means.
Yep. Yep.
This person never got back to me. And then it happened again where somebody else called me. It was like, "Hey, I heard you have this thing. It sounds like, we can offer, that same price. Um, and so let's go into the work and start working on it." It's like, "Sounds great." And then I just kind of left it at that. I was like, I'll let them do it. And never heard back. I was like, "Man." But it sounded so real. Like I remember sitting in that room like, "Oh my God, it's going to happen." In this room, actually. And a year later, nothing ever happened.
Hmm.
And so now we found our own manufacturer. We're putting up the money. We did all the editing. We found and created a product
Yep.
that I've been waiting for 5 years now because I was hoping somebody else would do it for me.
Yeah.
That said that they would help me do it.
Dude, I so understand that. So understand that. Just waiting for some external thing to happen so it betters your life in some way. And it's like, no. As soon as you stand up, start fighting for it, start understanding that you have strength and power and fortitude, and that is part of your purpose, is to just stand up. People are so worried about what is my purpose? What am I purpose? I don't know. What's your suffering? That's probably your purpose. What is your suffering? Like what is your desire and how do you suffer over that? And mine is happiness, joy, peace. And I've suffered in torment and suicide. So my suffering is actually, well, this. It's my purpose. Do I get paid for my purpose? No, not at all. Not one penny. I put all my money that I have extra back into this. It's still my purpose. We're looking for purpose where finances are the key, and that's not the key. It's I heard this thing that pretty profound. I've said this a few times to people: is your gifts are not your own. So as you heal and you grow and you start giving that back, and that's the beauty. Yours might be business. Yours might be that, philanthropy and some sort of that business thing that happens, or helping people achieve their goals physically or even nutritionally. That's one thing we haven't talked about is nutrition. That's pretty vital
Important.
to what your your lifestyle was. So how has that played into um, how does that play into your life now? How does that help with you? Do you feel like that helps you with your mental health at all?
I am, I think, maybe gifted, blessed with the opportunity to have been introduced to fitness really early on.
Hmm.
And so I have a general idea of like what I'm supposed to eat. I've tracked a couple different times, and I have enough of a background of physiology uh, and nutritional sciences to realize, okay, these are the things that I ultimately need for this thing. And so I never super struggled with nutrition. I knew that, like there's been more research that have come out over time. So like we should all be on creatine, especially as you get older. You should be on creatine. Um, you should have probably more protein in your life than
Hmm.
carbohydrates. Carbohydrates aren't bad though. And I think that's where people start having a hard time with now I'm getting so overwhelmed with all this stuff that's out there. What do I eat? What do I not eat? How do I manage this? Um, I fueled for fuel. I knew I was going to have a workout in 2 hours. I need enough glycogen stores in order to accomplish a good workout. And if that's
Mm.
my goal is the workout, then I'm going to have a baked potato with butter and cheese and bacon bits. And I'm going to make my own fresh bacon because I don't want the preservatives and
Man, you're making me
manufactured
hungry.
bacon.
Making me hungry, dude.
Oh, that's good. I haven't eaten yet. I
I
got a
haven't
squat
eaten.
later today, so who knows? That might be what I eat. So, like, that's good carbohydrate. It has good protein. Has good fat. I hit my jam, and then I think some people see that and like, oh my god, that's probably kind of unhealthy. And it's like, well, why? Why? What's my purpose here? If my goal is to lose weight, then I probably shouldn't have two of them. Maybe I should have one. But my goal is performance, and so I'm burning. I'm working out for 3.5 hours, 4 hours. I need fuel, man. I need
Yeah.
calories. Like I'm eating like 10,000 calories in a day on training days just to keep
Wow.
up with the amount of effort that's being done. I'm squatting 700 pounds. Like I need it. It's not really an option here.
Good
Okay.
Lord.
Like I'm benching 500 pounds. It's a lot, right? Like I'm requiring a lot of my body. Most
Yeah.
people aren't doing that. And so what am I really requiring of myself day to day? I'm going to go to the gym maybe? Great. You probably should eat more that day. You're not going to go to the gym? Probably don't need as many calories because you're not going to use them. Like they have a purpose,
Mhm.
and their purpose is to make sure that you operate well throughout the day. Carbohydrates, great for the brain. Glucose is the main thing that our brain eats for fuel. So if I'm going to do a podcast, I'm going to have some sugar. Not too much sugar, right? I'm not overloading,
Right.
but I need enough that like I haven't eaten, so I need to have some sort of sugar, right? And so I had a couple bites of a cinnamon roll, not a lot, but fine enough.
Yep.
It's also realizing, okay, am I diabetic? Well, that's going to change how much sugar I can have.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm having, a bowl of cereal every single morning, yeah, it's not going to be good for your blood sugar,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And then track those things. Make sure you're going to the doctor. Get your A1C tested, get your glucose tested if you're concerned. If you're working out pretty regularly, especially strength training, you probably don't have to worry so much because you have so much muscle mass that it's consuming all this sugar all the time.
Yeah.
It's expensive to carry muscle. And so it's almost relatively easy for me, unfortunately, because I had that experience as an athlete. But I realize that that's not everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
doesn't have that same experience. And
Right.
so it can cause a lot of stress, especially with everything on the news that says, eggs are bad. And then 2 weeks later, eggs are good for you. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, what do I do? Like, yeah, I'd be confused too. Find what ultimately works for you and it makes you feel good. If I have eggs, I used to love eggs. Can't eat eggs anymore. I can eat egg whites. Can't eat the egg yolk for whatever reason. I throw up. I will puke. Can't do it. Are you lactose intolerant? That's probably creating more brain fog than you really even realize. I didn't
Mm.
realize it until I got off of it entirely. And then I reintroduced dairy. And then I was like, man, I can't even think today. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't even know what my words are.
Yeah.
And so, you know what we do? We don't have dairy.
Yeah.
It's that
Yep.
simple because I know
Yep.
I'm not going to feel good. I'm not going to be my best self. And that means I'm not going to be able to communicate best with my partner. I'm not going to be able to do my best at work. I'm not going to be able to have a good podcast. So we're not doing dairy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Make it simple, right? No, but I love cheese. Yeah, so do I. Tough.
Right.
It's not in your game.
Yep.
Get lactose free cheese. There's plenty of it,
Right. Go get the non-tasteful cheese.
Or you know what? You can have older cheeses or harder cheeses, right? So like a
Just don't eat
Parmesan
the green
Reggiano.
cheese.
Yeah, don't eat cream cheese. Yeah,
No, the green
don't.
cheese. Don't eat the
Yeah,
green cheese.
yeah, don't eat green cheese. Don't have green cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that's kind of my story on nutrition.
good, man. I like that. It's always important. Another guy I interviewed, he did a whole thing. He lost like 100 pounds and all based on nutrition and wrote a book about it. So it's really interesting how those things play into well, it all affects our mental health. If you're overweight, you feel crappy. If you are eating sugar all the time, you feel crappy. I mean, you're eating McDonald's, you're definitely going to feel crappy. And people don't realize how bad they feel until they get away from it. That's the thing. Like, I didn't realize how much alcohol affected me on the daily basis, even though I didn't drink a ton. It affected me every day. My head started clearing up in a couple of days. I'm like, oh wow, I've been foggy for a while. Didn't know it.
It's
did
weird how that
not did not
works.
see the fog come in. It just
It's
came in.
it's weird how it works. I really don't understand like why we don't feel it. And maybe because it's habitual, so we just expect to feel that way. But like, if I have dairy, then I know it. Everybody around
Yeah,
me knows it. Like, I don't feel good.
yeah,
If I'm having, if I'm having drinks like the next day, I don't feel good.
yeah,
And so, what is that? What is that? Do I do I want to allow that for my life? Is that what I see my life as being? That guy who's foggy, who's groggy, who drinks, and isn't a high performer. If that's what you see, then great. That's for you, and that can be your life, and that's fine.
right.
That's just not for me. I don't want to feel like shit. I want to feel good. I want to be happy. I want to feel
Yeah,
confident. If I'm overweight, like I look in the mirror and I'm like, man, my love handles are getting big, or like I don't really feel very. I'm not as strong as I was, or like I feel those things very
yeah.
intimately, and especially after I got out of powerlifting, I was like, man, I've gained like 30 pounds.
Oh
What am
wow.
I
Yeah,
what am I doing? Like I'm all of a sudden I'm like 230 pounds and I'm competing at 205, and I've managed this weight class at 205, eating whatever I wanted. Chick-fil-A right before a powerlifting
right.
meet, where I was like, man, this is great. I'm eating good, but I'm also expending so many calories. And now that I'm
Yeah,
not, my diet's got to change, and learning how to like figuring that out, right? Like if I'm still seeing the weight go up, or like I'm just saying it stay consistent, that means that I'm eating, exactly what I'm going to maintain,
right.
or I'm eating a lot. I'm in a surplus.
Yep.
So again, do I want that for myself? If it's a no, stand up, take some change.
Yeah. Yeah. He was saying that he basically just can eat whatever he wants. He just substitutes how many calories he's burning. Like, if I'm burning 3,000, I only eat two, and that burns off the fat. I was like, oh, that actually makes sense. So it's interesting how that works. Um, and yeah, I appreciate you expanding
Yeah,
on that.
of
So
course. It like you definitely have that calorie in, calorie out method. It definitely, I think,
yeah,
very, very simply for most people, because people can't get overwhelmed. Like how many macros, how many carbohydrates, how many
yeah.
fats do I eat? Like
Mm.
just move more than you eat and you'll lose weight.
And actually, moving towards a goal, I've found has really motivated me because I've never had goals before. So um, just the simplest goal, but I don't beat myself up either. I give myself a lot of grace in achieving those goals right now because I'm learning how to do those goals. Like meditation, minimum 5 minutes, but 5 minutes, because that's where I know my sweet spot is, where I'll either enter in or I'm just going too nutty in my brain and I can't settle down. And when I go into things with intention, I realize I have the strength. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing in the mental health field is we need to stop band-aiding things with pills and start teaching people how powerful and strong they are
The first,
mentally.
yeah, I mean, the first time I ever got prescribed medication, I got prescribed Wellbutrin, and it was a telehealth call. I'll never forget it. And the guy's like, "What's your name? Okay, how you feeling? Feeling like this? Gotcha. Well, it sounds like you probably be pretty good on Wellbutrin, so I'll go ahead and send that to the pharmacy, and we'll go ahead and talk to you later." And I was like, I think that was less than 5 minutes of a call.
Yeah,
You didn't ask me if I was drinking. You didn't ask me if I was eating. You didn't ask me how my relationship was. You didn't ask me if I was in a relationship. Like, you didn't give two shits about any of that stuff.
yeah,
And you went straight to the prescription, man.
yeah.
That's wild.
It's money,
It's
money, money,
money.
money.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
like there are people that do have like there are specific neurologies that require like if you have schizophrenia, you probably should be on medication.
sure.
Right? Like if you have severe depression, like okay, look around you. Am I doing all the right things? Am I eating well? Am I, do I have a good job? Do I figure out purpose? Am I trying to make this work? And I'm still in this position. Like the brain is interesting and it has some things that we don't understand.
Yeah,
And so could a pill like change your life? For sure. Like it very well could. Is it the first thing you should look at? No, no. you
Yeah.
know,
Unless it's
there's a lot of
severe. Like if you
yeah,
needed something temporary to hold you over from taking your life, that's a different story. But to immediately go to medicine is almost, it's so counterintuitive,
yeah,
because all you're doing is putting a band-aid on something that you're gonna eventually, it's gonna fester at some point, or you're just gonna bury it and it's gonna fester at some point.
if you're dehydrated, it affects your mood.
Mm,
So
yeah,
if I'm constantly dehydrated day to day, I'm going to perceive that as my mood's down day to day.
yeah,
But in reality, you were just dehydrated.
yeah,
But if you're taking care of that and you are working out and you have a partner and you're talking about it, you're going to therapy and you're still having those issues, then sure, yeah, I get it,
yeah,
like go do the thing, and it could
yeah,
very well change your life. I know people that did all the things, couldn't figure it out, got on a medication, and it changed their lives,
yeah,
and they're still in therapy.
yeah,
It doesn't stop, and they don't. They're still working out, and they're trying to do all these things that are good for them, finding purpose, writing down goals, figuring it out. But they just needed that extra bump to get them to be in a place that they could.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think we're going to close this out, man. Do you have anything that has profoundly affected you that you want to leave us with? Any suggestions, advice, anything like that that you?
I think you said it best. You have the power to stand on your own 2 feet. You're more intelligent than you think you are. You are doing better than you think you are. It's in there. You just got to realize that it's in there and stand up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, Benjamin, I appreciate you being here, buddy. This has it's been a great conversation. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you on the good side.
Likewise, my friend. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks.